They wanted to infiltrate the Tribal Thumb. Tribal Thumb shot down a police helicopter over Oakland and was involved in a lot of bank robberies, also with the Weathermen, which was another thing. This revolutionary group doing bank robberies and stuff had ties to the Black Liberation Army, which was some bad dudes. You know, they ran the whole East Coast. They did then. Anyway, so this is why they sent me to prison, because they figured by now I've been scared sufficiently enough to where I just say, okay, yes, please, get me out of here. You know, part of me wanted that. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me was like, man, fuck freedom, you know? But then I was like, oh, hell no, I can't do that. So I told him no. Now I was pissed off though. I told him, you play with my life like that? You brought me here, you did this to me, and you expect me to work with you? This FBI and this captain of the Department of Corrections, they told me to work with them and I'll be free. I got to escape though. They wanted me to escape because they wanted me to hook it up where the Tribal Thumb comes to get me and I go with them and I get through their underground and all that. That's the information they had wanted. So like I said, I was angry and I told them, you know, you're supposed to be the government. I was supposed to be going into the Air Force to go serve my country, a country I still believe in. Even though I was a criminal at heart before, I still believed in America, in the government. And they would do this to me, that they would set me up like this, smash me, put me in prison, and put me in this position because they wanted to use me. So I told them, go to hell. I'll never forget that FBI and that captain. They said, well, you're not going to camp, because I was eligible to go to camp back then. My first term, I was eligible to go to camp. And they were telling me I wasn't going to get my deal. And then they were telling me I wasn't going to camp. I was like, alright, whatever, I'm out of here. Sure enough, I got Tracy, Gladiator School. Ain't that great? Ain't that fun? Like I said, I was only there for 30 days. I still had time to go through all my processing. Even though I was on the main line, I was still RGC. So I still had to be processed, be finished processing. Now, that captain, the security guy, the departmental security guy, he told me, look, that incident, they knew that the incident with the two guys, the so-called ABs, Aryan Brotherhood guys, clowns. No disrespect, but those guys were clowns. I don't believe they were real Aryan Brotherhood. The real Aryan Brotherhood is dangerous. It has real killers, not clowns. Anyway, whether they were or not, the captain told me that they knew about it. They knew I did it, even though there were no charges, no 115s, no nothing. But for my own safety, they were going to transfer me to the other RGC center down in Chino to finish my reception, which meant I was going to have to start it all over. So in other words, we're going to fuck you. You know, aside from telling them to go to hell, I told them to suck my dick. I said a lot of other things to them that I didn't give a fuck, to take it and shove it up their ass and all that other stuff. So they took it quite personally. So anyway, here I go. For my own safety, I was sent to Chino Reception Center to finish out my reception. Placed in Palm Hall, which at that time was the max, super max, for all active gang members. I was tossed inside of there like they set me up to be killed or whatever. I don't know. Well, it just so happened that because I got there so late that night, when they were taking me in, they asked me, where you from? And I said, what do you mean? I'm from Santa Maria. They went, you're a southerner? Alameda County, that's where I live. It's in the Bay Area, I answered. Oh, okay. So then they moved me over to the northern side. I guess they had them segregated, separated or whatever. So they put me on a tier with active La Nuestra Familia. Even these guys had already heard about me. When I came out in the morning, instead of getting stabbed up by these guys, like I guess the police had hoped, they're giving me tobacco and coffee. They were real nice to me, man, real cool, kicking it, talking to me and everything. One guy in particular, Crackers, yeah, Crackers, he made the Nuestra Familia as far as I'm concerned on the streets. Crackers Vendiola, the Vendiola brothers, and the Venegas family in Fresno and Bakersfield. The Gabriels and the Castros in Salinas, me, The Rock, and Juanito in the Bay Area and San Jose. Even DC, whom they say is now the undisputed and only general of the Nuestra Familia, was part of the original push for control of the streets in the 70s and 80s. They were part of the reason we are so powerful today. These are some of the main guys who made up the foundation upon which the Nuestra Familia was formed. They were awesome, great soldiers, loyal. They all were fucked over. Anyway, that's another story. But so I was kicking it with Crackers and everybody there, and they're treating me real good. I was only there for a couple of days because I came in late at night and it was full, so they just stuck me in there. I was there not even 3 days, I think 4 days. They took me out. They said, okay, there's an opening for you in the main line. We're going to put you on the main line. Okay, so bye everybody. I was gone. Hey, thanks for the coffee and tobacco and the cosmetics and shit. Thanks guys. And I was gone. So I went to the main line. I was on the main line and I didn't know anybody there at all. There's nobody from Alameda County there. And then finally somebody drove up from Alameda County and it's a black guy. He's a homosexual named Earl. But he was an alright guy, you know? I still didn't know anybody, so I kept to myself, walking the yard. Everybody down there was mostly from Southern California. I was walking the yard one day. I came out and I saw Crackers, Arian Vendiola, the NF active lieutenant. He's on the yard, and when I saw him, I said, hey, what's up, homie? Alright, somebody I knew. He said, hey, how you doing? I started walking the yard with them. These guys who turn out to be Mexican Mafia, they're kind of grouping. They're mad dogging Crackers, and they were glaring at each other. Words were exchanged. Como vega, puto. Eat dick, punk. M la nuestra familia. Typical crap. But I was with Crackers, and whatever goes down, I was with them. Because that's the way it was. We're walking the track, and I told him, hey, fuck those dudes, man. I got your back, man. He explained to me some serious shit could jump off here, man. If you don't want to kick it with me, I'll understand. Step back. They're going to try to stab me and shit like that. And I'm ready for it, I said. Well then, they're going to have to stab me too. So we're walking the yard that day. The next day, I came out and Crackers was gone. I guess they put him on a bus. They shipped him out. I was like, wow, I'm by myself. I was walking the yard. Sure enough, I was by myself, and here comes 5 dudes, Southern dudes. I found out later that a couple of them were actually M, Mexican Mafia. Right away, they jacked me up. They're like, hey, what's up with you? Why were you kicking it with that dude? But they didn't call him dude. They called him a punk and puto. And so I was like, hey, hold it, man. The homie ain't here to represent himself, to stand up, but I am, and he's still alright with me. So all that puto shit, you can take that and shove it up your fucking ass. And I hang out with who the fuck I want to hang out with. They told me, I know you're a first termer and shit, dude, but we're here. We're the M, and we run this pinta. Then again, here I go with my mouth. I don't give a fuck about your little club. I still didn't understand the depths of these prison gangs. So I walked the yard and nothing happened. The next day, we go to the gym. I went to the gym and there was a spot over past the weight pile. There's this big old stage. It was way up high, and there was a weight pile where everybody worked out with their weights. But those of us who worked martial arts, we go down by the stage. There was a section there where we could work out without the cops seeing it or sweating us. We worked our martial arts. It was kickback back then. So I was kind of squatting, watching these 2 guys work out. Back then, I used to wear my hair parted to the side. Sometimes it would fall into my eyes, and I would just flick my head back to get the hair out of my eyes. I was kind of squatting, watching the 2 guys, and I was up on the stage. It just so happened that my hair fell into my eyes, and I flicked my hair back to get it out of my eyes. And when I did, I saw one of these guys that had jacked me up in the yard coming at me, and he had a fucking knife. So he's going for my neck because I was squatting, but I rose up and went to dive out of the way, but he hit me. He hit me in my hip, and he got me good in the hip, man. So I was cornered now, and now there were 3 of them. I was cornered up on the stage, and I was already hitting my hip. I don't know, but I became Samson. I'm telling you, man. I picked this dude up and threw him off the stage onto the weight pile, the weight bench, and he broke his back. I started beating the fuck out of this other guy. The other one, he just took off. So these 2 guys ended up in the hospital. Now the gym door was open. They had a couple of their buddies keeping the cops and their so-called coach busy in the office. This happened quick. It happens quick in the penitentiary. So I got to get out of there because I was hit. I didn't know how bad I was hit. I didn't know how bad I was hit. I hadn't had a chance to examine it, but I was bleeding. I gotta get out of there, you know. And these two dudes, I got one knocked out up there on the stage with a broken jaw, and I got the other one on the fucking weight pile with the broken back. I didn't know that much later. So I made it out the door at the unlock because they happened to be having an unlock at that time. That's why they made the move then. The cop was distracted with the unlock. The coach, they had pulled with a couple of their homies. So I caught the unlock. I made it out, and I left these two dudes back there. One of them knocked out with the broken jaw, and the other one with the broken back. I made it to my cell. I got back to my unit, and I made it into my cell on the unlock. I was able to pull my pants down to see how bad my wound was. I looked at it, man. Now I think I read one too many John Wayne books or Louis L'Amour books because I said, oh fuck, it's just a flesh wound. I just gotta close it. What do? They gave us old metal cups back then. These little metal cups we drink out of. So I took some toilet paper rolls and made a little bombs for fire. And I got a newspaper and I made a handle so I didn't burn myself. And I got that metal cup just as hot as I could get it. Well, I was thinking it's like the movies. So I got this thing hot and I put it on my wound to shut the wound up to stop the bleeding. That fucker hurt like hell, but I did it. I went back, put the fire on there, and again, and I did it again. I did it a couple times. I was sure I got it sealed up. It's gonna be fine. 3 days later, I was walking down the hall and my leg went out on me. I fell out. I got to the hospital and they told me I had gangrene. They may have to amputate my leg. I was like, what? Oh my God. They treated me and they gave me antibiotics. They were not getting my leg. I was praying now, God heal me, not my leg, please. I'm sorry, forgive me. Heal me, Jesus. On the third day in the hospital, recuperating, I got up. The hospital was even divided. They had segregation in there too. They had the maximum security guys with the maximum concerns. They had the critical guys, and they had me over there with this infection. That's when I found out that the two guys that hit me were in the hospital, and the one who did hit me had a broken back. I kind of laughed because here I was on a lesser side, and they were over there on the critical side. That's when I found out that that dude had broken his back, and the other guy, aside from his jaw being broken, he had rolled over on his own knife, so he had stabbed himself. Anyway, I didn't stab him, he stabbed himself. He may tell everyone I stabbed him, but he stabbed himself, so that felt kind of good. I think it was maybe a week I was there, and I got a visit from this fucking security squad, and they told me, look, we know what happened. Nobody's coming forth, nobody's saying anything, but we know what happened. And you just made enemies of the Mexican Mafia, so we have to transfer you for your safety. Well, where are you transferring me? I'm not even through with my processing. You mean I'm gonna go to prison? They said, well, we don't know, but we're going to transfer you. Well, they transferred me back to Vacaville, back to the fucking overflow on the main line in Vacaville. So I was on the overflow now. Somehow or another, I was there maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and they caught it. And they said, oh no. They put me back on the green side. So now I was back on the green side, on overflow, on the RGC side, finishing my reception. That's a whole other story. I was going to Tracy. Now there was a black guy I used to run with. We called him Youngblood. He was a good dude, and I thought he was bad. You know, he could fight, he had heart, and I thought this guy was tough. They used to post the transfers where you were going on the bulletin boards. If your name was on there, on one of the lists, it told you what prison you were going to, where to go for R&R and all that stuff, turn in your property. So everybody came out of the chow hall. We go look at the latest postings on the board, and I was standing there next to Youngblood. He went up there to read the postings, and for a black man, I watched him turn white when he saw his name and where he was going, and he fainted. I had to catch him. He fainted, and I said, you all right, dude? He was quiet, and I said, what happened? He just pointed at the roster. So I walked up there and looked, and I said, you're going to Tracy, so what? That's how I had an idea of how tough Tracy was going to be. You know, back then, Tracy was known as Gladiator School. Population, let's say, 1,000 inmates in 1 year time. It was on the cover of Time magazine as the most violent prison in the United States. There were 127 stabbing assaults and 19 murders in 1 year. So you know, it was a pretty violent place. This is where I was going. This is where I went. This is where I became La Nuestra Familia.